I wasn't planning to tell this story again. Honestly, I've tried to forget about it, but every so often it creeps back into my head, usually at night, when the house is quiet and I catch myself staring too long into a dark hallway. It happened in December of 2024. I was with my two closest friends. Let's call them Riley and Jade. We'd been tight for years, the kind of bond where even silence feels comfortable. We were planning a typical weekend hangout, nothing fancy, just the three of us vibing, talking trash, maybe watching some cringy horror movies. But that night, something else showed up, something I'll never be able to explain. So Riley had the hangout spot, always did. Her place was kind of perfect. Low-key, no parents hovering, and this detached studio space behind her house that felt like our own little world. It was freezing cold outside, I remember that clearly. The kind of cold that sinks into your bones. The studio had 2 rooms, and we always stayed in the back one, farthest from the door. She had this space heater going, and to block the draft from the front room, she hung this huge brown blanket across the doorway. We tried to pin it up with thumbtacks, but all 3 of us were short. I'm 5 feet, 3 inches on a good day, so the blanket sagged at the top and dragged on the carpet. It never fully covered the opening. It just sort of hung there, loose and heavy, like it was barely clinging on. Earlier that day, we joked about taking some funny vegetables. That's what we called them. You either know or you don't. I had some left and figured, why not? I hadn't touched them in a while. Riley and Jade were both into it, so I brought them. We waited until later in the evening, spent some time inside with Riley's mom, just laughing and stalling, then headed out to the studio once the sun went down. I took mine whole. Not the smartest move, but that's just how I do it. Jade followed suit, chasing hers down with flat orange soda she found half drunk on the table. Riley, though, she struggled. Tried to eat them, but ended up gagging and throwing them up into a plastic bag before she even got them down. It was gross, but kind of hilarious at the time. Me and Jade were already giggling like idiots, half tripping. I mean, we were the worst influences. I convinced Riley to try again, told her to crush them between Doritos. Jade cheered her on like a hype man while I filmed it, screaming from the corner of the bed. I was laughing so hard I thought I was gonna throw up too. We were high, dumb, and everything felt hilarious. But that didn't last long. It shifted fast. 1 second we were laughing, the next, something felt off. Jade got up to use the bathroom. When she came back, her vibe was totally different. She was pale, quiet. She sat down and mumbled, "I'm not feeling good. I just want to lie down." That got my attention. I watched her for a bit, and I could tell she was spiraling, not in a physical way, in her mind. It was like she was falling into a pit she couldn't climb out of. Eventually, she admitted it. She said, "I feel like I need to be in a mental hospital, like right now." As soon as she said it, I felt something shift in the room. The air changed. It got heavy, thick, like the kind of silence you feel in your chest, not your ears. I looked over at the sagging blanket, and I don't know how to explain it. Something was behind it. I felt it, watching us, tall, still, waiting. I didn't say anything. Riley and Jade believed in spiritual stuff, kind of, but not like I did. They didn't have the same sense. If I said it out loud, I knew it would make it worse. So I sat there, completely still, pretending to listen to the conversation while my eyes kept darting to that gap in the blanket. I could feel it pacing. I could feel it dragging something, fingers, claws, whatever, slowly across the fabric. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was just too far gone. But then I saw it. The blanket moved, not a breeze, not from us walking around. It twitched, like something brushed it from the other side. My stomach dropped. I tried to keep calm. I kept telling myself, "You're okay, this isn't real. You're just tripping." But then Jade let out this sharp gasp and jumped into me. I mean, full on clung to my side like a little kid. Her eyes were wide and glassy. She whispered, "I saw the blanket move. Something's touching it." That's when I stopped pretending. I knew I couldn't hide it anymore, but I also didn't want to make them panic. Jade kept begging me to tell her what I was feeling. I looked at her and said, "Are you sure you want to know?" My voice cracked a little. It must have scared Riley because she suddenly turned to the wall, curled up and covered her ears. She shut her eyes like if she couldn't hear me, it wouldn't be real. But Jade wouldn't let it go. She wanted answers. So I told her. I said, "There's something behind the blanket. It's been watching us this whole time." I didn't say anything because I didn't want to give it power. She went quiet, then asked, "What do we do?" I told her we had two options. We could ignore it completely, like it didn't scare us. Or we could mock it, laugh at it, belittle it, make it feel like nothing. That's what I'd read in old rituals. Never show fear. We started going back and forth describing what we felt. And weirdly, we were describing the same thing. Tall, skinny, hollow, watching. Then Jade asked me something that still makes my skin crawl. "What do you think it wants?" I didn't plan my answer. It just came out of me, like something else said it through my mouth. "For us to fall asleep." The words hung in the air. Even Riley flinched, and she had her ears covered. Jade looked at me and said she was tired, like exhausted out of nowhere. I told her she could sleep, but I was going to stay awake and watch over everything. I meant it too. I told her, "If anything happens, I'll handle it. I'll stand up and tell it to back off. I'll look it in the face and say, 'Not tonight,' even if I'm scared out of my mind." And I was. I was absolutely terrified, but I stayed up all night, just sitting there, eyes locked on the blanket, waiting for it to twitch again, listening for movement. My heart never slowed down, not once. Jade drifted off eventually, and Riley was already passed out. I sat there alone, surrounded by silence, daring that thing to come back. And then, somewhere around dawn, Jade stirred and whispered, "It's gone." I don't feel it anymore. I hadn't felt it in a while either, but I didn't say a word. I never slept. I just waited for the sun to come up, hoping daylight would finally push whatever that thing was out of that room. Riley doesn't let me forget it either. Every time I visit now, she says the same thing. "Why does weird shit always happen when you're around?" And honestly, I don't know. I wish I could say it was just in our heads, that it was the funny vegetables, the cold, the shadows playing tricks on us. But I felt it. I saw that blanket move, and I will never forget how it felt to be watched by something you can't see, but you know is there, something that waits for you to fall asleep.